Thank you very much. So first, I apologize again for the last minute time change. So it's my great honor to be here to meet with the your prestigious universities, excellent students, Kyunghee University students and faculty members. So I'm Dr. Yang Yan. I'm from Temple University. Thank you very much for the introduction. So today I decided to change the title a little bit because that title was the title used last year for the seminar. There might be some topic overlaps, but today I'm going to talk about more specifically one part of big data analysis, which is called machine learning and artificial intelligence research in tourism hospitality. Because nowadays, when we are talking about big data, we are not just talking about collecting the big data. We are talking about how to process it, how to generate the insights. Okay, so basically, as Professor Khu introduced, I'm also working as the associate editor for many good journals. So most often I will be assigned this kind of big data papers. Okay, so guess what? Anyone knows what's the major criteria to gorge one big data paper is a good paper or not good paper? Anyone knows? I'm just trying to warm up. Okay, that's fine. It's fine. Because I have some criteria. The first one is that the first thing is what I call the generalizability. Whether the method and conclusion and the theories can be generalized to other areas. For example, a typical paper submitted might be using TripAdvisor review data to understand the visitor experience to a music festival in, let's say, in Daewoo, South Korea, right? It's very specific. But what's the generalizability? What's the generalizability whether it can be generalized to other area? The second thing is that I really want to see the contribution, right? So how it differentiated from other previous research in terms of theories, in terms of methods, in terms of many other different aspects. You can't just see that I'm just change the research settings, change different research research scenarios. So this one, I'm using the music festivals in Daegu, and in the next one, I'm using, let's see, food festival in Busan. You are generating two papers, but same source of data, same method, might be similar theoretic framework. So I can't publish two papers, right? We are talking about contribution. So what's the contribution there? So this kind of inspire me the presentation today, which is kind of a good connection with the presentation I did last year. Last year I had wonderful experience here. Professor Khu can tell that I have very engaging audience. You know, my topic basically talk about the big data, different thoughts, different applications. So this year, this semester, I want to go one step further to talk about those kind of machine learning and artificial intelligence we have been working on. From Dr. Khu, Professor Khu's introduction, you probably know that I have very mixed background. I have statistics, I have econometrics, I have geography, and this kind of mixed background.
By the way, I have a question.
Yes.
How do you know the city, Daegu and Busan?
I've been to Korea several times.
Oh, really?
I've been probably to 20 different cities.
Wow.
In South Korea. So I'm very familiar with Korea. Okay, so I'm going to tell you I still have a lot of points in Korea now, and I can't find a place to spend. Okay, okay, yeah. So let me go back. Okay, so my kind of very mixed background always give me a kind of this advantage. When I start learning that gives me a lot of headache. But this kind of skill set make my life very let's see, very, very rewarding experience. For example, you're doing statistics, you do a lot of equations, formulas, you derive that, very boring. And sometimes you find you can't apply to tourism hospitality, which is true, right? But it gives you, now the advantage I have is that no matter when I review the paper, when I read the paper, for very complicated equation and formulas, I can easily see whether it's a legitimate one or not. Or even though I can't derive myself, I can get the points. I can know what the purpose of the equation or formula. So sometimes if I really need, I can randomly check 1 out of 20 formulas they put there. I have that kind of capability. But the thing is that every time you learn a new tools, trying to search on Google Scholar, whether there are any applicability in the tourism hospitality, right? So you can try to master one tool. Likewise, if there's new theory you've heard, like marketing information system things, you thought no one applied in tourism, you search it, you can find some hints. Sometimes it's not directly applied to tourism, but it's kind of related in some related fields. So that is my way to handle this multidisciplinary background. So I'm from Temple University, US Asia Center for Tourism Hospitality Research. So we have, in my department, we have some wonderful Korean colleagues originally from Korea. So we had very good partnerships for research and other initiatives. So a very, very basic background information is that we're collecting the big data, and we are doing all the methods to analyze the big data, like ML. ML stands for machine learning, and AI stands for artificial intelligence. I just want to say that ML and AI matter, right? So when we are doing research, you are the PhD students, you have to look forward. What's going to happen in the next 20 years or 30 years, right? So you have to learn something that paves the road for you in your future career, academic career. So Professor Khu worked in a very, very interesting field, smart tourism, right? The management information system, which lays a very solid background and very solid, disciplinary knowledge to support the future growth. So when we are doing things, we are trying to think forward. Okay, so the background information is that about 12% of other travel and tourism business have embraced artificial intelligence at scale with an annual growth rate of 6.5%. A recent public journals from Professor Huang in UCF. So the industry starts embracing it, and that's a very decent number, which indicates that there's academic needs, right? So we are doing the research on this. And AI technology, artificial intelligence technology, can offer various advantages for both suppliers and consumers, like improved productivity, efficiency, profitability, convenient and personalized tourist experience. So I think many of you have got chance to interact with some AI technology, like chat box. You are not really chatting with someone. There's a robot behind that. Based on the text you put there, they will respond. There's no people behind that robot, behind that chat box that looks like you're talking, you are chatting with that. That's because of the AI technology. And also you will find that there's some voice, right? So it's like man-made voice by AI technology. Sounds like someone, but it's created by the computer. So this is the way that different types of big data we are dealing with nowadays. Some of them are very, very interesting and very, very intriguing. I highlight here based on my research experience. For example, we have the GPS track of vehicles. I know there are many, many popular GPS apps in Korea, and also to track the road traffic, right? So this is the big data to understand the movement of the vehicle, especially vehicles carrying tourists. The user-generated content, for example, the TripAdvisor, like what I said, I don't know whether TripAdvisor is popular in Korea or not, but it is very, very popular in the US and in Europe as well. Social media, right? Social media like Twitters, Facebooks, we have a lot of information from social media, and we have credit card transaction data. Many people will be surprised, right? Even though we can't get access to the specific single transaction of the credit card transaction data, we can see the aggregate level, like the total expenditure of tourists from Japan spent in Jeju Island, right? So that's a typical example. It's still good enough, very specifically aggregated. And cell phone roaming data is that where the cell phone is located. Like I know Professor Sanwon Park, she has been doing some fabulous work using the cell phone roaming data to understand the trajectory of tourists within Korea. I think most of them are international tourists. And finally, the search engine query and web traffic is like every time you search online, Google, Bing, or Yahoo, they will tell you, they will record, archive your search, and web traffic is like every established website. They will track where the web traffic coming from using some specific algorithms and the softwares to provide insight about your potential users, right? So all these big data are available. Obviously, they are not the data can be easily handled by SPSS, right? So yeah, so I think many of you are very good at SPSS. Oh, by the way, I have a first year PhD student, and she's from Korea. She's very good at SPSS. So I assume that by default, I assume all Korean students are well trained. If you are in tourism hospitality, at least you know SPSS. But you know that this big data provides the challenge to SPSS. Not all the data can be easily handled by SPSS.
Okay,
that's
like when you said, the data is actually we can access, we can own from institution. We can anyway achieve the data by helping of your network, my network, or whatever network. But the problem is the problem is data analytics by application, SPSS or SEPs or other stuff. So, and then how can we able to target on our research purpose based on the specific context of tourism?
Yeah, so I will give like 6 examples in today's presentation.
Okay.
So covering different, I think you raised a fabulous question, right? That's probably we are here. One thing is that we are not computer scientists. We are not programming that, but we know what kind of information can be important. And probably we can easily partner with those who have a better programming skill sets.
Yeah.
Okay, and the second one, the most important, you should know the theories. You should know what's the interesting ideas of tourism, hospitality research. Really care, because I talked to many journal editors. I think the same thing like Professor Ku did, that they really want to see interesting research ideas, even though the research design is not perfect, the data is not perfect. That give you a better chance to be published because it's interesting. It's not a cookie cutting paper like what everyone said using a different context, right? And what really don't like is the paper is that once we read the introduction, we know what the result may look like, what kind of research method might be there. Okay, so we have different data here. So different data have different things, different issues here, like like what I said here, like text analysis, right? It's like the analysis on the text became particularly popular to explore text data, sentiment analysis, topic mining, and document classification. Because I have some friends working in a Korea University, which is very good university in Korea. And he has been leading a group doing a lot of amazing stuff about text analysis on Korean language, because language-wise it's very different from English. So there's specific tools to do that. Now, I don't think there's huge issues about text analysis. So I will later give you an example about using text analysis, doing some interesting research in tourism hospitality. And then finally, the sophisticated artificial intelligence method introduced to analyze big data in tourism. Now I'm also trying to introduce two different, conceptual diagram. It's like, what's the most important thing? What's the most important foundation for machine learning and artificial intelligence? Like the first graph shows Huang 2021, like the middle is the machine learning and deep learning, and they have some major application, like what I said here. Sorry, I have some issues with my mouse. Okay, like here, the first one is computer vision. Okay, computer vision is like visualization analysis. We're trying to analyze the computer, the image, the videos. Natural language processing. The natural language processing is just the text, the English text, the Korean text, the Chinese text. The expert system is trying to use the knowledge from the data to help you make decisions. And the final is robotic processing and automation. We are developing the service robots, which provide a different experience to customers in the tourism and hospitality industry. All right, so another framework from EASE 2020. And basically, in this paper, she's just talking about the overlap of three concepts: robotics, internet, and artificial intelligence. And with the overlap of the three major domains is what we call intelligent automation. So there's a lot of applications about machine learning and artificial intelligence in our industry. So now let's get back to the research, right? We want to do top tier research. We want to do the research with solid theoretic background, rigorous research design, reliable research findings, the most importantly, they're able to be published in top tier journals. So here today, I'm briefly going through 6 different research projects or papers I finished. Majority of them published in top tier journals. So the first one we are doing a machine learning and GIS system to do the hotel location analysis, because that is a very, very important thing. The hotel business, the performance of hotel business depends on 3 most important things. They are location, location, and location, right? So once seriously, because everyone knows, because why everything else can be changed. Location, you can't be changed. Likewise, when you are buying a house, because I know that the house is so expensive in Seoul, right? So basically, once you determine the location of your house, majority of the value associated with the location, you can renovate the house, but the location can be changed, right? So that's the thing here. That's why location is so important. The hotel location study is one of the most under-researched topic in tourism hospitality. And the second topic, I'm trying to talk about sleep quality study. I've been published several interesting studies about sleep quality. I don't know your sleep quality, but my sleep quality when I'm traveling is not very good. Especially, let's see, I'm flying from United States back to Asia. That's usually like 13-hour jet lag. It's getting so hard to get used to jet lag. That might be one reason, right? So I can't get very, very comfortable sleep. Another reason, a big difference between the Asia and the US is that in hotels, I'm not sure whether you know this or not, or if you get a chance to travel to the US, is that the mattress in the US is very, very soft. Okay, I think in Asia, our mattress or our bed is very firm, right? but in the US, it's extremely soft. For some people have back issues, that's going to be a disaster. Okay, that creates the, I would like to see, health hazard. Seriously, okay, especially you have to stay in the hotel for 2 weeks or 4 weeks. And I have some friends, and finally he or she gave up, just put the blanket laid on the floor. And you know, the US hotels floor is not very clean most of the times, but that's the only thing they can compensate, right? So, and that inspired me to do this research, doing a sleep quality study. And we are using the reviews, we are using text mining, which is one of my, the paper I'm really proud of. If I'm seeing there's the paper I'm really proud of, which means that paper should be very hard to get published. And second is what? The second is there might be some challenges about the paper, and that's the issue. Okay, so I'm trying to do this. The third one is another study. We are doing air quality study, and we are trying to find some information about health conditions of tourists from the self-report social media. And number 4, we are doing an image analytics. We are trying to investigate the profile photo of the reviewer, how that links, and then after that, we are doing the video analytics, like what kind of Facebook videos are more attractive to tourists. And finally, we are doing an experiment study about, you know, robotic involvement, which is not directly related to big data, but it is very important. Professor Khu, I have a sudden incident. I have to stop here for 3 minutes. Okay. So it's out of electricity. I have to plug into the another power here. So can I stop here for 3 minutes?
Okay.
Sorry for that. Okay.
No problem. No problem. You are are the expert of the machine learning, video analytics, and
but I can't handle my electric system, so I have to stop 3 minutes for here. So very sorry for that. Give me 3 minutes.
Is nothing without electricity. So plug out, does it become dumb? Okay. So it's kind of true. So the electricity, everything's internet, everything is connection, wireless, wired connection. And then battery is everything. So anyway, Dr. Yang, he is published many top-tier journal recently about the machine learning, text mining, and the CNN is one of the AI tools, and the image analytics, video analytics, and experimental design, which is all critically important methodology these days. So you guys, the master degree students and especially PhD students, you know, it's hard to do, and it's very difficult to, you know, knowledge and skills and tools. But yes, you have to do. Okay, go.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry for that. Okay, so everyone settled. So I use my skill set on machine learning and and artificial intelligence to generate enough electricity, so we are safe. Okay, so like what Professor Khu said, the challenging part is how to apply this kind of tools, this kind of, you know, analysis with the theories, with the contacts in tourism hospitality to generate interesting research. Okay, so I have some personal reflections before I'm really getting into all these 3 examples I want to share with you as a researcher. The first thing is that every time you are doing research, you may want to carry a passion, something you really like it. If you can't convince yourself this is something interesting, you have the passion, and probably it will not end up with a good result. But you know, job is a job. You have to publish to survive, right? But you should kind of start develop your bondage with the research topic, or at least some of research topic, you should make yourself aware this is interesting. You have passion for that, right? So sometimes doing research is like you are dating with someone, your boyfriend or your girlfriend, right? So to know each other better. And the second thing is that every time before you are really using very, very sophisticated, very, very complicated model to do that, to use the easiest way to take a look at your data. Like, if you are using Twitter data to do something, or TripAdvisor review data to do something, read some reviews yourself to give you a better idea. Otherwise, you are doing something in English, what we call a blind dating. You are dating with someone without looking at each other, right? That's what we call blind dating. Okay, so know something. Or if you are doing, let's see, image analysis, video analysis, just click some videos, click some image to know what it looks like, right? So your judgment as a human being will be never replaced by the computer and algorithm, especially as very applied research oriented. So that's my idea. Okay, no matter how sophisticated the model is, you are still the one who use it. You need to go to the data, go to all the samples to read through carefully, even though it's SPSS data. Okay, so a lot of my students, when we were teaching SPSS, give the command factor analysis, ANOVA analysis, regression, give the data, just click the button or write a syntax to run it without really looking at the data. That's kind of problem. All right, so that's my idea. Okay, before we're talking about the very sophisticated things, but trying to know each other better. All right. So I'm sorry that I just finished I just finished the 3-hour course. So I get a little bit passionate about typical US college conversation. So which is not very typical, but in a way I like it. All right. So the first paper, this paper published long time ago. I think this paper published about 12 years ago. And actually the paper finished 15 years ago. Okay, this paper actually finished 15 years ago, published 12 years ago. This was published in a very, very good journal called International Journal of Hospitality Management. So we are using GIS. Probably you guys don't know what is GIS. GIS stands for Geographical Information System. Okay, nowadays every web mapping is related on GIS, but at that time, remember 15 years ago, which is not very popular for web GIS, hotel location evaluation combination of machine learning tools and web GIS. So basically we are using machine learning tools, like technically regression, it can be a type of machine learning tools, to develop the algorithm. And the web GIS, we're trying to visualize the results so people can interactively use that. So so I know Professor Khu has some computer science background. Probably he can read this, of course, 3TO architecture of database. And we have the presentation TO, we have business logic TO, and we have the database TO. It tells you how different information were interacting with each other. So we're trying to visualize more, right? So the little bit background information about GIS, Geographical Information System, can use to do a lot of things like visualize, question, analyze, interpret, and understand data to reveal relationship patterns and trends. So maps can be very, very powerful, especially related to tourism travel, because why? Tourism travel are very, very location dependent, right? If you know the pattern of the international travel in Korea, there's probably just 3 major hotspots. The metropolitan area of Seoul, the metropolitan area of Busan, and the Jeju Island. Basic 3 major hotspots. And that's the truth, right? So you can easily find that the hotspot of demand. And then a second one is the accessibility measures, which means how hard it's getting into there, right? So we can use the distance, or we can use the driving time. Let's see, 5 minutes drive from the campus for Kyunghee University. We can draw the area out, right? Which will be not very regular because the roads are different. And finally, we can do some called hotel pricing surface, like a 3D map to show the different hotel price along, which is very interesting. And so this whole idea, we start from the geo database, right? So we are putting all the locations in the geo database, a better way to store geo-reference hotel business data. And then we have GIS application integrated with the internet. Remember, this paper was finished 15 years ago. Nowadays, every app has a map, but at that time, because of computation burden of international infrastructure, WebGIS is there, but not very popular. And spatial info, people love spatial information and geo visualization, location analysis, and finally we can even do something called a geo simulation, which means we are putting different scenarios over the space, and the system is going to return a different level of the results. And here, why we are using WebGIS? Now you guys are using a lot of GPS apps. That first one is easy, right? So it's easy. And second one is geocoded. You have geographical spatial information. The third one is the computation. It's easy. And finally, integrate with the internet. You can instant access that. So here we are using different machine learning tools, like we use the neural network. We use the projection pursuit. We use SuperSAC to support sector regression, and we use boosting regression, different algorithm to try different models. So I put different formula here, but as you can see, it looks like something like regression. Okay, we have a dependent variable, we have multiple independent variable, but for linear regression, we assume it's a linear relationship, right? But here they have different, ways to do it, to make it more, to try to fit data better, right? So neural network, this is very, very popular ones nowadays for tourism forecasting. You see a lot of neural network paper, right? Inspired by animal nervous system, identified pattern structure in data, approximate complex functional information. The second one is called projection pursuit, which is very good way to elevate something called multicollinearity, because if you know the statistics about regression, linear regression are really, really bad in handling multilinearity, but projection pursuit is a very good way to handle the multicollinearity. Number 3 is the support vector, right? Robust and distribution free. What does distribution mean? In linear regression, we normally assume the error term is normal distributed, and according to large sample property, it should be fine if you have large sample, right? But still have some central series theorem, something like that, a distribution thing, but this does not assume any distributions. And also it's good at capture nonlinear relationship. But finally, at boosting regression, which used to be very popular at that time when we are doing a paper 15 years ago. So as on its inherent advantage in predictive accuracy, which has been kind of become very popular nowadays in different programs as algorithm. So we try different things, and we did different measurements to try different performance, like linear regression compared to projection pursuit, neural network support vector regression, booster regression. And we have this kind of tools, like I know it's ugly, but remember it's 15 years ago, right? So it's called, we put a very good name, hotel selection, location selection and analysis tool, POSAT. So basically it's very interactive. If you decide to determine the suitability of a location for specific hotels, you just put, star rate, 3-star hotel, service diversity, 50%, whether it's indigenous or non-indigenous, which means foreign invested hotels, number of beds, and it shows you the location probability at different locations across the city as like, reference point.
Okay, Professor Yang, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, previous slide. Let's take a previous slide. Yeah, people. Yes.
Yeah.
So you analyze 5 different methodology for dependent variable, independent variable.
Right.
So labor productivity and occupancy rate and DEA efficiency score, that's all result of the independent variable, right?
Result of dependent variable.
Dependent variable.
Yeah, right.
And then you analyze the linear regression and neural network subspectra and boosted regression anyway. And then you're finding out the important influential factor or when the consumer choose the hotel in a location, right?
No, it's actually the location to build the hotel.
Location to build the hotel.
Yeah, to start a hotel business, the investment.
Okay. Build a hotel.
So, yeah, so it's one stage before that. So that's why I say this topic is usually what we call the hotel real estate. Now there are more and more papers on hotel real estate. That's why at the very beginning I said it's a very under research areas. Now many journal editors really want to see this hotel real estate papers because that's a big part for hotel companies.
This paper is about the investment of hotel.
Right.
Not the consumer approach to choose the hotel.
Later on, we also try different behavior research because you still need this data to get some ideas to develop models. So later on, it's a hybrid model, but we are still using the behavior data later to predict the new investment. That makes sense, right? Because we know existing customers, how they choose the location. Then we assume there's a new investor want to build a hotel. What's the potential location they can do?
So about 13 years later now, can you say your application of hotel investment or built, is it accuracy and is it accurate or is it predict well based on your application and between your real world and your research context? What do you think?
Oh, that's a very hard question. You promised me don't ask tough question today. Okay, that's a very good question. Okay, so the thing is that I have to be very honest. Okay, I have to be very honest. The first thing first is that this system, this tool, is just going to give you a very reference point.
Okay.
You have different reference point. It's not the final decision making. First thing first.
Okay.
The second one is that it's just for the short run information, not for the long term prediction. Why? Because over long run, many things will change. For example, the transportation, right? For example, this city can have a new airport somewhere, or they decide to have a new subway station. I did not do any comparison, but I'm very confident to see that the prediction power of this model can be very bad over long run, because it can predict the change of other factors. That makes sense, right?
I understand. That's why you became a professor, not the entrepreneurs.
Oh, we can talk about later. We can talk about that later. Okay, so let's just talk about the research part today. Okay, we can talk about that later. Okay, so you can buy me airline tickets. I can fly to Korea to talk about that later. But yes, this one is that we are talking about. This is like one step of a research sub-research area, right? Hotel real estate analysis. Even though I don't think the prediction power is that outstanding, but it's like first there's a conceptual framework, the theoretical part underneath, and most importantly, it has been cited more than 200 times, right? So that's very important, right? So okay, so very good question. I like it. Okay, so that's the paper. I really get scared if I'm asking me very detailed information, because that research was conducted 15 years ago. I have to say that I almost forgot. Okay, I almost forgot, right? So you can probably figure out how old am I. Right, so the second one is the paper I'm really proud of, right? Which is the paper takes a lot of tough opinions to get published, and this one probably just been cited 20 times. Okay, so it's not very well cited, but I really like this paper a lot. Go ahead, Professor Gu.
Okay, you made a very fancy and sexy the paper
Title.
Sleepless Night in Hotels.
So
Who
you know the
made that
movie,
topic?
right? You know the
You
movie
copy
name,
from
right?
movie.
Right. So I because if you pay attention to, I spend a lot of time in naming my titles. If you go to
Okay,
my
here's
Google page.
Yeah, okay, we are focusing on the writing papers in body and the manuscript, but finally we submitting to our manuscript to the journal, and that journal delivered to the reviewers and editors. The title is if how much the titles influence to the reviewers and editors.
I think first thing first is that
Impression.
Let's just my personal opinion.
Uh-huh.
Many times when you are presenting a manuscript to reviewers,
Mm-hmm.
it's what we call information asymmetry.
Mm-hmm.
And basically the reviewers didn't know who you are, right? Because it's anonymous reviewer.
Mm-hmm.
She's trying to find evidence how reliable you are, how trustful you are. And a very interesting title will give you a better opinion that the reviewer will think you that you are a nice person, you are an interesting person, you are not a nerd. And you are kind of establish that kind of emotional bondage with the reviewers.
Okay.
That's just my personal opinion. That's just my personal opinion. And sometimes some journal editors, they even trying to help you revise the title, because a good title at least will increase the citation of your paper to the best of my knowledge.
Right,
but this paper does not receive very good citation. I think I mentioned this paper last year as well, Sleepless Nights in Hotels, which is from a movie, a Hollywood movie, very popular one called Sleepless Nights in Seattle. If you got a chance to watch that movie.
That's what I'm thinking.
right. So that is interesting. I put some motivation picture, like, people are being constantly struggle in sleeping in a hotel if you are traveling. So we are collecting the TripAdvisor data. So we have a research contract with TripAdvisor. So technically we are officially authorized to claw the TripAdvisor data for research purpose. So the major objective of the paper is to investigate how unique travel and hotel related factors, either as facilitators or barriers, contribute to subjective sleep quality for travelers, okay, who stay overnight in hotels. So we are measuring the subjective sleep quality, which means, people rate good or bad. It's not, you actually measure how long people sleep. Okay, we can't do that. The method is that we collect the large corpus of TripAdvisor review data in hotels in Los Angeles. Why? Because it turns out we have that data. Okay, I have to be 100% honest. It turns out we have that data in hand to explore how different factors have influenced sleep quality by reviewers. This is the map of the Los Angeles. So we have the data, and you can see that many hotels along the major highways, which create a lot of noise, as you can imagine. So what that TripAdvisor review look like? See, it provides a lot of information. What information? The first thing first, very important, is the sleep quality. You guys see here, sleep quality. So he leaves a rating 3 out of 5, which means not very good sleep quality, right? And it also provides a lot of information. This person reviewed originally from Jakarta, Indonesia. That means might be a lot of jet lag if he is traveling from Jakarta. And he's a very experienced reviewer, level 6. And this is the time he checked in, and this is a travel purpose. And also a lot of interesting information, age group. 65 plus, gender is a man, right? So and so on and so forth. There's a lot of information we can leverage for this analysis, okay? So we propose a framework of typology to classify potential sleep factors, okay? So we have the demographical factors, psychosocial factors, hotel location, hotel facility, hotel sleeping environment, and typographics. And some information is already there, like demographicals, the age group, and their gender, right? Typographics, like, what's the trip purpose, travel solo or couple. Hotel location, we can use GIS to do a lot of interesting hotel location things. Hotel facility, yeah, we can get the information. But the key part is how we are going to do the hotel sleeping environment. There's no existing data on a review about hotel sleeping environment. And that is the place we get to the text mining. We are not doing general text mining. We're just trying to do specifically to identify those specific dimensions with the hotel sleeping environment. So we got this data like, demographical, typographic, and typographic. There's an interesting thing. It's like we are using method to measure the geographical distance between the home city and Los Angeles, in how long he flight, right? And also the longitude difference, between home city and Los Angeles. What does that mean? This variable capture the jet lag. For example, from Australia to Korea, it's long flight, but you are in the same time zone. So the longitudinal difference is very little. So you will not be bothered by the jet lag. Does that make sense? A long haul travel does not actually equal jet lag. So that's why we use different methods. The hotel facilities, right? So we know the star ratings of the hotel on TripAdvisor. And we also want to calculate the number of floors of hotel's major building. Okay, so you guys know how we did that? So we basically go to Google Street View and we count manually. And we have some data for some hotels and we check, it turns out to be very reliable. And we basically manually counted about 600 hotels in Los Angeles. And hotel location, we did a lot of GIS things like, restaurants, number of restaurants within 1 kilometer of the hotel. If there are too many restaurants, what does that mean? That's going to be very noisy, very, very crowded urban area environment. And freeway, an indicator of freeway within 200 meters of the hotel, where they are nearby a major road, creating a noise. Airport, an indicator within 2 kilometers of the hotel. Airport, a commercial airport, major source of noise. And guess what? We also cover the plantation, the tree canopy cover percentage within 500 meters of the hotel, because plantation can observe the noise, right? So that is another factor we want to control. We can use the remote sensing data. You guys know what is remote sensing, right? Using a satellite image to see the ground, whether if there's a lot of green plantation, there's different color, okay? And we have some control variables. The key part is that we really want to find the sleep-related keywords associated with the hotel sleeping environment. We also manually excluded irrelevant reviews, like highlighting the pool temperature, lighting problem with the taking showers, because they are not directly related to sleeping environment, right? So, and we are demonstrating applicability and accuracy of using sentiment statements. So we are highlighting 7 major factors like pillow, mattress, bedding, temperature, noise, lighting, and the ventilation. So the ventilation is something not very obvious in Asia, because our air conditioning is way more advanced than the US version. In the US, there's a lot of window units. It can be very, very noisy, right? So the ventilation is important. So I put both positive and negative example. For example, about the pillow. The positive one, like beds and pillows, are glorious, a smiling face. And another one said that the one thing I hate is tens of pillows on the bed that are all damp, which is a negative sentiment. So we are doing the sentiment specifically focusing on keywords to give a better idea about the sleeping environment of the hotels, what kind of sleeping factors determine the sleeping quality. So we did that, and we are using different things. I indicates whether this factor has been mentioned. S indicates the specific sentiment value associated with the factor. So for example, we find that, guess what? The mattress has the highest coefficient. Okay, so the mattress is actually the most important sleeping related factors about the sleeping quality. So this is the result of our second study about sleep quality. And to be honest, the sleep quality study is very hard to do in a questionnaire survey, because people may have recall bias, and also relatively costly to do the experiment. You can send people to do the experiment to stay whole night in a hotel, but you can't collect about 10,000 responses cases. So TripAdvisor, because they have a rating about sleep quality that provides a perfect database data for this research. So that's why I really like it. A lot of people really like it. So once the paper published, go ahead.
You then you corrected that the quality of the facility and the bed, mattresses, sort of things that you by collecting survey from someone who have experience in that area.
No, it's just from the online reviews.
Online reviews, but online reviews, like when you said, is they say some positive stuff and negative stuff. It's mixed together. How do you get the score?
So I'm using a sentiment analysis.
Sentiment analysis.
So for some example, this is a good one. So the pillow one give a score of 0.5.
5, okay.
And it's a negative one. The score is negative 0.176, depending on how bad or how good they express the sentiment. So that is how the sentiment analysis works. And we are putting them as an independent variable of regression to find the relative importance of different variables. So everything is from the review. We did not collect data from other survey or experiment design things or qualitative. Right. All right. Number 3, we are using something called CNN. So now let's get to the third example. This one is like, we are using the social media data. This is a recent paper, still 2 years ago. Oh my gosh, time flies really quickly. Annals of Tourism Research. We are using big data, which is called social media data. We are using the designing tourist experience amid during air pollution, especially using. So just between us, okay, I put a very crazy title there, and that title is too much, and I have to change it, because at the beginning I saw the title is that we call it tourists under face mask. You guys know that you can think about that when you are enjoying a destination, you're a tourist, but you have to take a face mask. At that time, that's not related to COVID, right? That's related to air pollution. You wear a face mask because you are afraid of air pollution, right? So you want to protect yourself, right? So that's the original title, and then the editor said, okay, that looks like a little bit too much. Just get back to the normal, title, which is not bad at all, but so in this paper, we are using the social media data, which is called Weibo data, which is Chinese counterpart of Twitter data. Okay, so we are understanding the impact of air pollution on tourist experience, right? So this kind of things can hardly be surveyed by questionnaire, can hardly be manipulated by experiments. So we are using the review data like this one, the social media data. So we are understanding impact of the air pollution on, smog awareness, behavior consequence, emotional consequence, and health consequence. I really care about that because I think many people talking about well-being of tourists. They are largely based on subjective evaluation of well-being, but there are some more measurable things like health consequences. So I'm trying to use this kind of text mining specific CNN to determine the occurrence of health-related issues such as illness and insomnia. So how we'll do this, background information, you guys definitely know that, basically this is the tourists with face masks, not for COVID, but, just air pollution. So we are using sentiment analysis, the Chinese are a little bit more challenging than English to deal with in text mining. We are using different things. And this is like, we are doing a deep learning classification, CNN. We firstly manually check more than 14,000 Weibo data for health issues, and we identified some keywords like coughing, dizzy, sickness, headache, difficulty breathing, and sometimes stomach, any keywords related. And we are developing this network, CNN, to predict another 1 million data to see whether they identify any health related issues or not. And we get a very interesting result. The result shows that tourists are more vulnerable than residents for health related issues. Because why? Because tourists are less adaptive to an unfamiliar environment, so it's more vulnerable. But tourists do not suffer from sleep issues due to air pollution. Why? Because there are many other factors shaping sleep quality that may be more important than air pollution. Okay, in a destination, so that's why they are less vulnerable than the local residents. So this is a very brief, and again we did like experience BI system, based on the local weather, weather factor, air pollution factor, and the date. We can highlight or predict the potential experience score across different part of the city. This is like another effort to help design the experience and monitor the experience. Now let's quickly get to the number 4 paper. Number 4 paper, I have to see that number 4 paper, this paper has not been published because I really haven't finished a very key step of the paper. And this paper was a conference paper. It's in a workshop of tourism design analytics, Vienna, Austria, dating back to 2017. If I remember correctly, that's the first time I met Professor Khu in Vienna.
Yes,
right? If you remember that. So I put that on purpose. So everything about you, I remember very, very accurately, Professor Khu. All good things, of course, all good things. So this
That's why I invite you.
So
because we met there.
right. So this is about avatar. So in the US, many people, especially those job positions, really need this kind of personal trust. They care about a lot of the photos to the clients. The first one is real estate agents. So usually they will put this kind of photos, big smile with family members to show that they are reliable, they are trustful. And also car dealers. I don't know what's the case in Korea, but in the US, car dealers usually have very bad reputations. They are rape people. Of some students, on the other hand, I know that in Korea, some case, right? So the car dealers are not very trustworthy. Okay, it looks like a global issue. Okay, so they put very friendly photos to show that they are trustful. Okay, so in this case, we are using, we're trying to do something like avatar. Avatar is what? It's the profile photo on your social media account. Okay, whether this avatar make the difference. Okay, so this is what we call a reviewer photos, right? So they might be important indicator of the reviewer characteristics. Okay, so this is actually the profile photo I collected from the TripAdvisor reviewers. They are all different. Okay, they are all different, right? So they indicate different ones because what I think, for this gentleman here, what does that mean? Looks like a very reliable person, right? Not very fashion, but just very reliable. And these two girls looks very fancy, very young, looks very passionate about traveling. And these couples, like, they're probably just fall in love with each other, and they decide to do a lot of travel, right? And for this guy, okay, with a sunflower here, probably he or she is just lazy, or he or she doesn't want to disclose the personal image, which is okay. Majority of people don't want to disclose it. I will do the same thing, right? So a little bit conservative. So based on so what we are doing is that based on the supervised learning result on billions of photos, we are using an API from this one. I really like the Microsoft Azure. We are using their existing algorithms to collect the data, to tag the data, return the information about the visual contents, use tagging, description, identity, image types, recognize celebrity and landmarks, and very, very important, detect faces, its gender and age. Okay, so they can do that. Even though I thought they might be less familiar with Asian, I put my very fancy photo there. They did a pretty good job. The age prediction is very close to the actual age. Okay, so we did something very simple, like different color schemes, different topics, and what we are finding is that if you are putting, like, you have the personal portrait, you have your people's portrait there, you're more likely to be regarded as trustworthy. If you have outdoor environment, that's it. And if you have food, right, it's negative. And probably people thought you are too foodie, you are just addicted to food, not real travel expert. They are less trustworthy for you, but not very strict, right? So, and the second step, we really kind of just struggled why we did not develop a journal article, is that we're trying to do some more machine learnings. We code 1,500 photos, to see what's their credibility of the photo and what's the social distance, 1 to 5 Likert scale. And then we apply this to predict the other 1 million photos, right? Because we already trained the machine learning tools, and we find, social distance has a positive sign, but trustworthiness is not significant. But it's not perfect model. But the idea is here, the image analysis is going to be popular. And some of our recent papers, I don't have a lot of things to share, but we are doing a lot of video analysis. So we have these tools, we can do the video analysis. Now the video is very popular, especially short videos like TikTok. I know the TikTok is very popular in Korea, especially among younger generations, for different YouTubers, other web influencers, and also for destination marketing purpose. We collect the data from different states, and we did that. We conduct the video, we collect more than 3,000 videos and trying to do the analysis. This is a tool. They have the vision analysis, they have the audio analysis, because the audio analysis is also part of the video. And we collect the different indicators about the video and run the regression. And this is still very, very, very basic things. We find that some indicators are very important, like the colorfulness. They need some variation. They need some dynamics. They need some rhythm. Some animals' appearance will make the videos more attractive after controlling all other factors. This is still under progress. And finally, this is another paper I co-authored with my colleagues. This is not about a big data, but more related to the robotics introduction. This is a very popular topics in hospitality. Everyone is talking about robots, right? Service robots. And basically, in this case, we are talking about the supplementary human service. So the key part is that how to assign roles to the robots exclusively for robots, or we are doing things together between robots and human beings. We are doing different experiments to do the analysis, and I think one result is that supplementary human service will enhance consumers' attitudes, repurchase intention. In other words, in the presence of robots, we still need human beings there, right? Okay, we still need human beings there. And I know I'm running a little bit fast because my original time is from 10 to 12. I know running a little bit out of time, so that's why I speak a little bit fast. So other popular areas of studies with the big data, machine learning, and artificial intelligence, like tourism demand forecasting and revenue management, tourist spatial trajectory mining and itinerary recommendation, like what I said, Professor Simon Park did fantastic job on spatial trajectory mining, and also this information can be used to recommend itinerary. For example, if I'm heading to, let's say, Daegu, right, which is not very popular city in Korea, even though it's very large. Okay, I can't find enough information, but I can use some tools to, based on these spatial trajectory of other tourists. Those tourists have similar interests, similar profiles mine, and based on that, they're trying to recommend an itinerary based on local traffic, local climate, local weather, and local air pollution levels, right? And number three, what I said is emotion and sentiment mining of service experience, not just about a sentiment score, but also the score for different dimension of emotion, different dimension of sentiment. And finally, is the service failure prediction and remedy, help them to improve the customer service. Future research, right? According to EASE, 4 research priorities are suggested: designing beneficial AI, facilitating adoption, assessing the impact, creating sustainable future. And for my reflection, I thought for text analysis to develop a dictionary. Many text analysis is based on dictionary specific to tourism, hospitality, and also we want to do some field experiment on AI applications. And I think that's all for my presentations today. So feel free to let me know if you have any questions, because I know you are the best students in Korea. I really look forward to your questions, feedback, and comments.
Okay, well, very good. We are huge questions for you from now on. Please answer as much as you can.
Okay, I usually just pick easy questions to answer. Let's just joke.
Okay, since we met, you have a lot of paper publications so far. Wow, just a jealousy and envy you. And
yes, let's just, before I met Professor Khu, I can't publish, but then after I met Professor Khu, I published a lot. So okay, that's not
you
just
take my work. Anyway, just kidding. Anyway, I have saw your presentation, and you have a variety of topics and methodology you have been publishing, which is very fantastic and very okay. Able and ability, your research ability, I can find out. Wow. Anyway, the first question is from me is, you finding very sensitive topics, vision topics out of our research context. How can you find out? How can you catch it?
So that's a very good question. I think I give the answer at the very beginning, is that you have passion, right? When you are traveling, you also observe as a tourist, right? And second one, that's what I also told my PhD student, is that to read more industry magazines, especially if you don't have industry background. You read some industry magazines like Hospitality Today or Tourism Travel. There's going to be a very, very interesting topics. There are going to be some interesting topics circulate around, like the anti-tourism politicians in Europe. Oh, that looks very interesting to me, because they have to get the votes, and the residents don't like tourists, so they have to anti-tourism. and different government policies there. There's a lot of interesting things. But for the researchers, we're just trying to refine that thing to a research question, find theories, and develop, reasonable research methods to handle that.
Mhm. That's fantastic. So you're always thinking about something when you move around and observe the reality and phenomenon of the things or the object, the area, from the perspective of tourism and hospitality.
Right, but there's an assumption before that, is that you have to read a lot of papers before that, right? So what kind of theories there, what kind of potential areas there, right? Like like my trip to Vienna, we had a conversation, so probably I can get another 20 different ideas of writing papers. So, but it's not like something happened in a sudden. So you have to already accumulate sufficient knowledge, right?
Mhm.
Read enough papers, right? Understand this industry. So there's no short path for academic success, right? Just to be more diligent, read more, and work more. So you will ultimately,
Mhm.
get all your efforts
Okay.
work. Yeah.
My respect point to you, idea is idea, and we can generate ideas, many ideas, many ideas from the perspective of reality and the phenomenon. But the action is difficult, and the action is another story. So you
Right.
published your papers. That means you acted, and your behavior is actualized for targeting publications, which is fantastic.
Oh, thank you for the. I would take that as compliment. Thank you very much. But I have to see that you still have the not all the good ideas will ultimately lead to paper, right? Because of different reasons. And the second one is that sometimes as I said, job is a job. Some topics when you work out later, you will find, oh, it's very boring, or I get bored. But it's your obligation. You have to get it published out, even not in top tier journals, but you have to make it out. Publish or perish. That's the golden rule will work in this industry, because I know that PhD student, master student, faculty, they have their evaluation system or metrics based on publication. So you have to do that. So and I have to see some papers I publish, I really don't like it, but I have to make my life, my job to pay to raise my family, to pay the bills, let's to be very honest, right? So I have to see all the papers, all the 6 papers I discussed today as like the paper I really like, not just relevant to the topic. So I have a passion to talk about, even though some papers I don't remember the details very clearly, but I'm very confident to share that with you, like, some examples about interesting research topics.
Very good, inspiring to us. Okay, serious, you can cast your questions, whatever you have interesting.
Hello, Professor. I do have a question.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah. First of all, thank you for sharing the presentation. It was really interesting, and then it was kind of
Thank you very much.
very unique approaches in the research. So thank you for brainstorming myself for the research area. So my question is, like, big data, usually we analyze like the secondary data, so that it's just more about the behavior, but it doesn't imply like internal factors or like personal like opinions, like survey data. So that for example, like sleep quality, there might be external factors, but then there might be also internal factors, and that it can be related to like personal traits or personalities and those kind of things. So that my question was like, you only dealt with like external factors because the data set only tells you what kind of external factors might be influence the sleep quality. So that in this case, how do you like figure out which factors actually cause their sleep quality? So I'm not sure that they might have a correlations, but then it's not like it doesn't tell the causality. So that I was kind of wondering, like, how did you deal with these issues when you're doing the analysis?
Very, very good question. This is a super, super hard question to answer. Okay, so I think everyone's on fire today, but that's why I'm here. So that's why I really like Kyung Hee University, both professors, students. So the first thing first is that in a single paper, it's impossible to investigate all the factors, right? And usually that's why a good paper usually is like a single paper just to investigate one or two factors, right? So at the very beginning, I think we are trying to put a framework there for the sleep quality, but we confess the limitation of the data sources. That's a very good part. The second part is about causality and correlation things. That's very, very good part, because for this paper is relatively less impacted. The reason is that the outcome, there's a time sequence. The outcome happens after the antecedents. Does that make some sense? They are not happens at the same time. They are still have this kind of issues in econometrics. That's what we call the endogeneity issues. You have to technically randomize the experiment, right? Like same people living in different hotels, they may likely give you a different sleep quality. But in this case, the most we can do is first one, to control as much as possible variables. Second, to do what we call the robustness analysis. Different model specifications, different period of times, to do as much as possible what we call a robustness analysis. The number three is that, as I said, there's a kind of the time sequence. The sleep quality happens before the determinants of the antecedent. Slightly better, but this issue still there. This issue. So there's also the question, as I said, there's one thing, it's called biopsychosocial factor. We don't know what's the past sleep quality of people. Maybe they can't fall asleep home, so they can't sleep in the hotel. We can't get that data from TripAdvisor. And like what you said, very nuanced internal factors we can't get. But in the text mining now, they have some kind of algorithm trying to develop more specific emotion. For example, there's a dimension called regret. Even though there's no score on regret, but you can develop algorithm, and like if people are reading that, they can see, oh, does the reading message converse any idea about regret, and put a score there. Does that make sense? So this is like what I said, that is going to be the future direction about big data analysis, especially text mining. It's not just a simple dimensional score, but also the score across different very nuanced emotion dimensions.
Good. Wow. Other students?
Hello, Dr. Yang. I had a great presentation from you today. I went through a lot of diverse methods, and it was really interesting for me. I have a question along with the previous question that Hejin gave. I heard that we can have a Granger causality test, which can also see a causality relation along with the correlation, which is a hard part, which is a difficulty in my dissertation also. So what do you have in mind with the Granger causality test?
Okay, so I have econometric background. It looks like I have too many backgrounds. So so technically, let's do a very frank way. It's like, I don't think Granger causality, it's a causality. But that depends on specific context. And now in top tier journals, it's getting harder and harder to publish Granger causality papers. Is that basically that causality is just Granger causality, right? So what from econometric perspective, there might be more, let's see, reliable causality inference models, like what we use, like DID, difference indifference, like, you know, a propensity score matching, like, you know, regression discontinuity, like some model else, right? So, but the key part is that those models have higher requirement on data collection. So you usually have to collect the panel data, you know, have to control specific factors. But Granger causality get popular. They have has its reason because it's easy, right? Lower requirement on data collection things. As long as you have two time series, technically you can work out that, you know, simultaneously. So that is one thing. So I don't know the specific context, but personally, I think, you know, you have to work out more rigorous causality inference method by collecting more data, run more robustness analysis to get causality related results.
Yeah, and there would there be any other method we can add on the big data secondary data research, such as yours? Can we add any causality test or any further can go?
Not, it's going to be very hard unless there's a natural experiment, like, you know, one day something changed, right? So then you can compare the big data the day before and the day after. That's more like, you know, the natural experiment, or some part in a days in some cities that change, in some other city does not change. We're doing, it's more like, you know, difference in difference idea. So the big data might not be the perfect source to do the causality analysis. I have to be very honest. I have to be very honest about that.
Yeah, that was a really great answer. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Next.
So Professor Ku, go ahead, please. Yes, go ahead, please.
Hi, thank you for a great presentation.
Thank you.
I have two questions. So I saw you have really huge spectrum of background, like you studied statistics, geography, and then like tourism again. So I was just wondering, like, what made you to follow that track? And the second question is that in a video and image research, like because it's about the perception, like how people perceive the image or video, like how do you control the unwanted variables? Like for example, like if you want to see how the facial expression like affect the people perception, like how do you control the genders, things like that, because it can affect like, and then it can affect the whole research, and it's always difficult part for me.
Professor Ku, you have the best students. These are all very, very legitimate questions. These are very, very good questions. Give me a heart attack, you know, for this good question. The first one is that what kind of the trajectory I followed. I'm going to tell you a little bit background information. I got a full scholarship to do the PhD degree in University of Florida in USA, with a major in geography, which I really like. So that's why I love traveling. That's why I'm traveling to many Korean cities. That's why probably Professor Ku need to take me back to Korea another time to visit more cities. So and then within the 4 years, I got 1 degree in statistics, 1 degree in economics, 1 degree in PhD. This is not co-degree, it's 3 independent degrees. So that's why I really feel that's the most productive 4 years there, because first I have enough financial support, and second, at that time, okay, I'm going to tell you, at that time, people did not publish too much. I don't have huge pressure on publication, seriously. Otherwise, I don't have time to go through all the basic works. But if you see what's the kind of, I can't follow anyone's trajectory, but I just follow my passion, my curiosity, and my ego to know more, to make a better person, to come back to the best major of the world, which is tourism hospitality. right? So, so this the answer to the first question. The second question is that what you said is 100% correct, because for video and photo analysis, there's tons of different factors. You can't see the gender, even the hairstyle makes the difference. Like, you know, even it's a girl, like whether it's a short hair or long hair may make a difference, right? But here is that we can't control all the factors together, and probably we just lay a general foundation. And the future researchers can extend our study, our design to look specifically on a single elements, like, you know, hairstyle or dress taste or foot or a clothes color, or I see even some very interesting papers on the glass type, whether it's round or what's the structure of the glass. So we are more like more foundation things and provide people a platform to develop what they need. But that's a perfect question. So what my answer is that we can't control all the variables in a single study. For that one, it's more like generalized to demonstrate the usefulness for video analysis. We provide like, you know, a foundation for future studies to look into specific factor. Fabulous questions.
Okay.
So I assume all these students are PhD students, right, Professor Koo?
Not really. We have a half as master degree.
Oh,
So
they're very high quality. Okay.
They're good enough to understand what you're trying to say. Don't worry about it.
Okay. You were many of my bad jokes. I realize that.
They are probably very satisfied with your life trajectory here and there. Look around the hustle and bustle, not choosing the right track. It's gonna be very good. What?
Yeah, because I said, you know,
Understanding
tourism
point.
major is the best major, so that's why I decided to come back.
Just kidding. Okay. Any questions?
Professor, I have a small question. Yes,
Yes.
first of all, yes, it is very interesting for your lecture. Thank you for your lecture. And my question is related to the visualization in the GIS field. Actually, I'm studying GIS nowadays, so it's very difficult to choose the range. I mean, the legend range in the GIS field, because you know the result of visualization in GIS field could be changed from the range, legend range. So I know some ways to choose the range in the GIS program, but I'm not sure what is the right in this visualization or my research purpose. So could you tell me the tip or know-how? How could you how you choose the legend range in the visualization or the GIS research? Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Professor Koo, see, they have a question from all different angles: statistics, econometrics, and now the geography. So I really need to come to visit Gyeonggi now, right? So so that's a very good question. So there's no one fit all answer. That's probably, I think you are using ArcGIS, right? So that's why ArcGIS provides, to the best of my knowledge, 6 different ways to do the categorizations. So usually, I'm just going to tell you, usually you have, if you want to do the best visualization, you have to test yourself and you have to customize it. You can't use the existing ones. So the most important thing is to tell your story. Tell your story, okay? Tell your story. And, you know, especially when you have multiple maps in a single paper with the same thing, you have to figure out a legendary categorization by yourself that is also consistent across different maps and also at the same time tell an interesting story. But I think if you are using ArcGIS or QGIS, the thing is that they will put a distribution map. The difficult things are those outliers on the right-hand side tail, right? How you classify that. Personally, I prefer logarizing that. Take a logarithm, take a log. if needed for better consistent visualization quality. Usually sometimes that works. Okay, that's just my personal opinion, but the issue with logarithming is that the meaning is very hard to understand. Log of 0.5, what does log of 2.5 indicates? There's no physical meaning, but as I said, always depends on your own research context. You have to do more, like as I said, to read more about data, to fall in love with data. So you are trying to different ways. There's no like one fits on all answers. So usually sometimes I will start with quartile, like 4 quartile things to do the 4 quartile map today. Okay, best of luck.
Okay, very detailed question and very good answer for her. Actually, since I met you, I send my students to the geographic class to learn ArcGIS and QGIS. Even I send them to a company which can handle the GIS data well. So like these days, the mapping is a very important factor to illustrate the causality and the result by visualizing. So actually I expert on the structure equation modeling and the regression modeling, but time is past. I'm past. You're the future. So keep sending my kids to the GIS class.
That's great. That sounds fantastic. You know, I feel kind of sorry to see that I'm falling a little bit behind the latest GIS technology, but you know, every 3 or 4 years, I will still come back to the GIS conference to steal some latest technology from them, and also to get a look at, you know, what kind of software available, what kind of data source available there. So that's great. I'm so happy to know that, you know, there are many students are doing GIS things. This looks like very interesting and very nice field. Yeah.
To survive.
Okay, no response on that.
Dr. Yang,
Hello.
can I go? Yeah, I know it's late in your time, but I really need to grab this opportunity to ask you this question.
Wow, that's great. It's my honor. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, at the beginning and just last 1 minute, you said you go to the geographic conference and maybe you get all the real ideas from the other areas, maybe geographic or economics. Do you really read the journal from geographic and economy and really get the idea from them?
That's very good. That's very good questions. Okay, so I have to tell you, I read a lot. I read a lot because my bachelor degree is in geography. So I have some very close friends in geography. Oh, another advantage of this is that to make more friends, you know, especially in different disciplines. So sometimes they have the data. They said, Yang, take a look whether you can use for a tourism purpose. Okay, or Yang, we have a ideal related to tourism, come to join us, because you know that's probably my advantage. So I'm doing very interdisciplinary thing. I also get my publications in economic journals, geography journals, and sometimes even statistic journals, not in that top ranked, but I still have to try. I think if you are working in really interesting stuff, especially in geography, it's not that hard to understand geography journal. Probably my PhD is in geography. I have a different advantage, right? So I think in most times tourism hospitality journals are harder to understand than geography journals.
Oh.
Usually, unless there are too many formulas, equations there, right? For economic journals, I just focus on some very top tier ones that I really like, you know, Journal of Urban Urban Economics and Regional Science, and you know, Journal of journal of, or second, political economics, like, review of statistics and economics, of more applied econometric based, because my econometric supervisor is very active on the econometric side, but I can read very theoretical econometric models paper, but I'm more looking at applied econometric model papers. So for example, some areas are very close to us, like international trade, like like resource and agricultural economics, environmental economics. What they are doing are very similar. It can be easily transferable to us. Urban economics and regional economics as well.
Okay.
Yeah, that is
Okay,
great.
well, any students? Okay, if you're not, we can wrap it up a little earlier than the original schedule because we are already behind, and probably Professor Yang, he must be very tired because of consecutively he lecturing now from his class to my seminar. Okay, anyway, once again, he is one of the top the researcher in the world, and the expert on the AI, geography, illustration and visualization, all important and critical dimensions he dealing with. So he inspiring us very well. So if you have any question further, you can send the email to him, and he will give more valuable information to you and sharing information to you if he like.
It's always my great privilege, and every time I heard this, the Professor Ku's invitation for lecture, that's always on the top of my priorities.
Okay. Anyway, Yang, are you going to go to Washington DC this coming August?
For ICRI, if you come, I will come.
Okay, let's have a drink over there.
Okay. We can have a conversation there, because I have so many. I didn't register. I have so many friends that come into DC. I'm thinking that I'm just sneaking into the hotel to have a couple of drinks with my friends.
Yeah. Okay. Finally, do you have a final remark for our students? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I just like like what I said, sometimes we really want to have a work-life balance, and an even better way is like trying to put a little bit of love on your work, which is your research. And but if you can have that, that's the best. If you don't have that, just treat it as normal work. It's still going to be very rewarding. And as I said, I have different background in different disciplines, so I still think the tourism and hospitality research is probably the most happiest, and one of the most achieved researchers in the world. We are doing something interesting, and we are providing interesting implications, and we are making people having a happier life.
Thank you very much. There is a late time over there. Probably have a good night and good sleep in your mattress.
Okay, I will monitor that. Okay, no more sleepless nights. Okay, see you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you
Bye.
everyone for coming.
Okay, students, so we finalized our seminar. It's a no more seminar anymore. Today is the last day of the seminar. And the next semester, I will open again. And the good scholar from all over the world again. And this seminar is learning from something and inspire you can. So I want you to keep coming on to this seminar next semester again. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
교수님 수고 많으셨습니다.
네. 감사합니다.